Good morning to all of you joining us here in the chapel and on YouTube. Welcome to East Rose Fellowship Unitarian Universalist. We're especially glad to have those of you who may be with us for the first time and hope to see you again soon. I'm Jean Weigant, your worship leader. Today, our speaker is our own Reverend Robin Zucker, whose topic is Onward, Forward, Singing Hymns. We wish to acknowledge that for at least 13,000 years, many tribes and bands have made their lives here where our church home and our communities now exist. We remember and honor these people who have made their homes in this land, the ones here now and the ones who lived here before. In peace, may we share this land and honor one another. Let's take a moment now to greet each other here today, both in the chapel and online. Those of you here in the chapel, please stand, face the cameras back by the clock, and wave hello to our friends online. And then turn to your neighbor and say hello. For our online guests, if you would like to share a joy or sorrow during that portion of our service, you can do so by entering it in the YouTube chat, and those will be shared aloud with everybody. I also encourage you to identify yourself in that chat so we may better acknowledge your presence with us today. I call you to worship with the words from Dynamic Music by Reverend Dennis Hamilton. All the world's songs are sacred. They can mend the broken heart or make a mountain dance. More, music can overcome the confusion of tongues, the babble of languages, for music is the universal language. Married to the spoken word, woven into song, it can heal the soul and raise dry bones to walk about. So come, let us listen, those that have ears to hear, and let us raise a joyful noise.
Thank you, Jean. I don't know if this is on. Okay. Thank you, Jean. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are in for such a treat this morning. The choir has been working so hard with Mary and Tyler to bring us this hymn-focused service this morning. We're going to hear four, well, really more than four, because they're going to sing with us too. But there's a lot of music in the service today, and part of it is learning where our hymns come from. And so I'm going to introduce just really briefly each piece of music. So the prelude is Now Let Us Sing, and it's listed as anonymous in our hymnal, but the title was chosen in honor of African-American singer and blacklisted activist Paul Robeson. And then for our chalice lighting today, we're going to sing This Little Light of Mine, the first verse. And this is an African-American spiritual written sometime between 1750 and 1875. And in spite of the atrocities of slavery, African Americans developed a strong spiritual tradition that included dance, song, and religion. Interestingly, the tune to this song was named for Lewis Latimer, the son of a runaway slave who worked on the light bulb with Thomas Edison and with Alexander Graham Bell on the telephone. He was a founding member of the Unitarian Church of Flushing, New York. Now I give you our choir.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within. Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the joy within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the
Sing.
joy within.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within.
As we light our chalice this morning, let's stay seated and sing the first verse of This Little Light of Mine. The words will be on the screen. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our opening words today are Let Us Sing the Magic of Imagination by Susan Van Dresser. Let us sing the magic of imagination by which we know one another and learn the lives of eras gone by. Let us sing the magic of creation by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others, young and old. Let us sing the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the movement of breath from heart to lung, all new life that is to come. Live now with singing. Live now with magic in your fingertips. Touch this world with harmony and melodies of love. Our hymn is going to be number 114, Forward Through the Ages. This is often sung at ordinations, installations, and other ceremonial UU events. Sullivan of Gilbert and Sullivan wrote this tune in 1872, and it was popularized as the hymn, Onward, Christian Soldiers. So when people come and sing this, they say, boy, this melody sounds familiar. The UU lyrics were written by Frederick Hosmer, a Unitarian minister who also lived during that time period. Please rise as you are able to sing number 114, Forward Through the Ages.
Gives in differing measure, hearts of
I'd like to invite Tara Toler and the kids to come forward for a story for all ages.
All right, you guys can take a seat right here, and I'm going to take a seat right here. You're okay. Okay. Today's story is called My Voice is a Trumpet, written by Jimmy Allen and illustrated by Kathy Ann Johnson. Jimmy Allen, a platinum singer-songwriter, certainly knows a thing or two about voices. We all use our voices in different ways. Some of us like to sing beautiful songs, like the members of our Sunrise Choir and our congregation. Others, like Reverend Robin and our community ministers and friends, speak to us from the pulpit about important subjects and ideas. There are also those of us who use their hands, bodies, or devices to sing and communicate in other ways. Every one of us has a voice that matters. Let's explore some of the ways we can use them in My Voice is a Trumpet. Some have a voice as tall as a tree, loud and proud, and sways in the breeze. Some have a voice as small as a bee, soft and sweet, like kisses of honey. Some have a voice that's patient and wise, with lessons of life told through sparkling eyes. Some have a voice sunny and bright, a voice that can echo and light up the night. There's a voice that is silent, but still can be heard, with hands that move to speak every word. Then there's the voice that roars like a lion, a big voice that tells you always keep trying. We all have voices, voices to hear. My voice is a trumpet, strong and clear. My voice will be loud when I'm not sure I know, to wonder, to learn, and to ask as I go. I will learn to speak up, to show I am strong, to stand for what's right, and to know what feels wrong. My voice is a rainbow after the storm, loving, comforting, safe, and warm. I'll use my voice to find joy in others, reminding us all that we're sisters and brothers. I'll say no to hate by using this voice, and always choose love, a magical choice. Voices are powerful, and together they're strong, like the musical notes of a beautiful song. How will you use your voice? Whether we express ourselves through song, speak up for love and justice, or share a piece of ourselves with the world, our voices come together to create a unique and beautiful choir. And as Reverend Robin, our choir, and our congregation continue to explore the importance of music and song, we will move on to our classroom. If the people along the center aisle would like to form a bridge, we'll sing our children out.
We hold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go.
So all of this prelude with breathing. Those of you who come regularly know that's just what we're going to do right now. So I invite you to put your feet on the floor and uncross your arms, drop your shoulders, close your eyes, and just a big exhale. See if you can really push a lot of breath out, free up some space. Feel yourself grounded to the floor by your feet, and imagine a little string pulling your head up a little bit so that you really are in an alignment from your crown to your feet. Soften your face. Feel how much tension you hold in your jaw, your face, your eyes, your forehead, your neck. So much tension that we hold in our body, shoulders, just drop them down, drop them down. Put your hands in your lap, open if you can. And then start your rhythmic breathing. 4 beats in slowly through your nose, 5 or 6 beats out slowly through your mouth, deeply in a steady stream, just seeing how much spaciousness you can create inside of yourself. This is the opposite of streaming. I don't know what just happened to the lights, but it was very atmospheric. You can just leave it for now or see what's up. So you're just going to keep breathing. 4 beats in through your nose, 5 or 6 beats out through your mouth. It's amazing how much space you can create in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, just through intentional breathing. And how much health you can bring to yourself, as John shared with us. We're just going to breathe now together in silence. Our first breath is followed by our first song, lusty, loud, and primal, a solo that announces to the world, I have arrived. We are the music. Slowly bring yourself out of your breathing. Take a few more rounds. Soften your face, your shoulders. This kind of simple breathing meditation you can do on your own for 5 minutes. It is the opposite of doom scrolling, where you are filling up, and getting all these hits. Quiet it down with your breath. Our quiet song was the winner of the favorite hymn contest, and this is often the favorite hymn or one of the favorite hymns. It's This Is My Song, number 159. It has the beloved score entitled Finlandia. It has lyrics by Lloyd Stone, who was a Hawaiian, and the piece was written as a prayer for peace. You may remain seated. The choir will stand, though, and join you. Or actually, you can remain seated, too, if that was your plan. And we will sing This Is My Song.
When Reverend Robin asked me to talk about why I sing, I thought, well, I just do. But as I thought more about it, I realized that singing has been an important part of my life from the beginning. When I was 3, we were visiting my grandparents in Florida. My 11-year-old cousin Jack and family were also visiting, and he had a chance to sing on the local radio station. After the program was broadcast, a make-believe program was recorded on a 78 RPM record. You remember those? So he'd have something to share with his friends back home. I sang on that record with my aunt's help. Growing up in Oregon, singing has always been part of our family car trips. Oh, you can't get to heaven on roller skates. With friends and family on picnics or camping trips, we'd sing around the campfire. At Christmas, my aunt would play the piano and we'd all sing carols. My dad and my uncle would throw in the occasional Irish ballad or drinking song. It's Christmas in Killarney with all of the folks at home. How could I not sing? Throughout my school years, I sang in choruses and choirs. In the summers, there was Campfire Girls Camp and songs around the evening campfire. John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. As an adult, I've enjoyed singing with both community and church choirs. I discovered that singing allows me to express my joy, sadness, longings, silliness in ways I couldn't with spoken words. How could I not sing? In college, my roommate had a guitar, which I learned to play, and later I bought my own guitar. This was at a time when folk music and protest songs were the popular music. The songs were fun to sing, and many could be played using simple guitar chords. How many roads must a man walk down? How could I not sing? My guitar and I have counseled at summer camps, taught elementary school, had fun with friends, and just sat in my living room and enjoyed our own company. A few years ago, I had lunch with a woman who'd been a fifth grade student of mine in 1972. She had recently gotten together with a friend of hers from that same class, and she told me they reminisced about singing together with Miss Barnes and her guitar. It was wonderful hearing that this was one of their fond memories. How could I not keep on singing? When I taught elementary school in Brisbane, Australia in the 70s, friends and I would frequently go to a coffee house called the Folk Club. We'd hear English, Irish, Scottish, and Australian folk music. It was a wonderful opportunity to learn some songs I'd never heard before. There was a wild colonial boy, John Dowling was his name. How could I not sing? Returning to Portland, a friend and I joined the Portland Chorale in 1978. In that choir, we made friends with a couple who had just moved here from Minnesota. With them and a few other friends, we became what I call the gang. We get together periodically and always for a Christmas potluck. One of these friends plays the piano beautifully, so we have our annual Christmas sing around her piano, one of my favorite traditions. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. How could I not sing? So why do I sing? I sing for the memories. I sing for the way it makes me feel. I sing as a way to say some things I don't know how to say otherwise. I sing to be with friends. I sing because it's what I do. To borrow the first and last lines from our next hymn, my life flows on in endless song. How can I keep from singing? Thank you.
So as Jean just previewed, the next song is My Life Flows On, an Endless Song, number 108. It's a gospel hymn with a third verse by Doris Plen, who wrote it during the McCarthy era, a communist witch hunt, when those who refused to sign loyalty oaths lost their jobs. I give you the choir.
My life was
I think we lost the spotlight, but I think that should be okay. Onward, forward, singing hymns. The whole notion of a hymnal was new to me when I came to Unitarian Universalism in 1988. In Judaism, the religion of my birth, the songs, they're an integral part of the liturgy itself, not separate events. There is call and response, or they're delivered in unison, either sung or chanted, and they are led by the cantor, not the rabbi. Davening, repeated bowing, is optional, particularly when people know exactly when to do it because they know the Hebrew, and watching people are like, oh, missed it again. But there's no actual hymnal. There's more of like a prayer book with music in it that follows a very clear liturgy. To this day, when I go to a temple, the melodies remain familiar, even though I was never proficient enough in Hebrew to fully grasp what I was singing. But I can say for sure there were a lot of Baruch Atah Adonais sprinkled all in there. Congregational singing may be common to Judeo-Christian practice, but as the lack of a separate hymnal in Judaism shows us, the concept of congregational singing is not. In fact, the modern Western church practice of singing discrete hymns like we do turns out to be grounded in the same reforms which led ultimately to the founding of our own free church tradition. The Reverend Roger Fitz provides a good history here. He says, "The music in our worship service has its roots in the changes that Martin Luther made in the Roman Catholic liturgy more than 500 years ago during the Protestant Reformation. Luther said, 'I have no use for cranks who despise music, because it is a gift of God. My heart bubbles up and overflows in response to music, which has so often refreshed me and delivered me from dire plagues.'" Well, that's one way to think about it. Luther also encouraged the development of trained church choirs, writing, "One begins to see with amazement the great and perfect wisdom of God in his wonderful work of music, where one voice takes a simple part and around it sing 3, 4, 5, other voices leaping and springing around, marvelously gracing the simple part like a square dance in heaven." That's certainly the transcendent experience we experience with our own choir here, including today. Luther's greatest musical reform, though, was congregational song. In the Middle Ages, the liturgy was almost entirely restricted to the priest and the choir. Then, in 1524, Luther published a hymn book. His congregation learned to sing, and everyone sang. Practices were set during the week for the entire congregation. Egads. A Jesuit testified, with a taste of sour grapes in his mouth, no doubt, that the hymns of Luther have killed more souls than his sermons. English hymn singing became popular because of Isaac Watts, who first published his hymns and spiritual songs in 1705. After Watts, John and Charles Wesley, the founders of Methodism, firmly established hymn singing in congregations in England and America. And a lot of our hymn tradition is also reflected in Methodist hymns. In 1761, John Wesley wrote in his Rules for Hymn Singing, they had a lot of rules in Methodism, the discipline as it was called. These rules for hymn singing still appear at the beginning of the Methodist hymnal and include such instructions and encouragements as sing all, sing lustily and with good courage, sing modestly, which sort of doesn't really line up with sing lustily, but sing modestly, sing in time, and above all, sing spiritually. Have an eye to God in every word you sing. Not unlike the Methodists, Jews, and even the Jesuits, the roots of our evolving Unitarian Universalist sources and current practices hum from every page of our series of hymnals, including the two we are using today. We've had so many hymnals, as evidenced by this stack of books on the table today. This isn't even all of them. I figured we didn't want it so high it blocked the pulpit. But we have had a lot of hymnals. Our current ones, Singing the Living Tradition, the gray one, and Singing the Journey, the teal one, they reveal our theology of social justice, of compassion, of ecological awareness. These two books and other supplemental UU hymnals, including the Spanish one, which is the little purple one, hold a collection of thoughts, words, and music used in most of our UU congregations around the world at just about every worship service. They are what tie us together musically as a faith tradition. They weren't compiled lightly or outside of our historical or theological evolution. Have you ever read the gray hymnal from cover to cover? This book, the only what I would call permanent sacred text in the room, is a rich compendium of folk songs, gospel spirituals, poetry, and psalms set to classical melodies, Southern harmony standbys, chants, and Hebrew dance tunes. It's an eclectic and postmodern blend of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Many, including myself and many of my colleagues, feel we are due for another update and upgrade to prune out the unsingable tunes, and there are quite a few. So one of my colleagues even compiled a list, unsingable hymns, just to ward us off of those, and to consider language around gender and other factors. In an article for UU World magazine from 2008, Donald Skinner notes that in the early 1800s, Unitarian congregations had little in the way of music. If they sang at all, they sang biblical psalms that had been put to music by our Puritan ancestors. On the other side of our heritage, the Universalists were more musical, said the Reverend David Johnson, who's actually written a book on the history of UU hymnody. He says, the Universalists were very enthusiastic singers from the beginning. They sang about God's love for everyone, very pointed evangelical hymns. When the Unitarians began writing and singing hymns, those were more graciously theological, definitely more subdued, celebrating nature and the bond between God and humankind. Neither faiths had choirs in the beginning. The Universalists all sang. They came out of the Free Baptist tradition, so they all sang, and they didn't see any need for a separate choir. Reverend Johnson goes on to say, by a certain point, the Unitarians were trying desperately to sing well, too. They had several periods of prolific hymn writing. The introduction of the Unitarian faith and Unitarian hymns, I believe that's one of the ones on the table today, a collection published around 1915 by the American Unitarian Association, reflects one of these periods. It's a significant fact that every period of spiritual awakening in the Christian church should have been marked by a fresh outburst of hymnody. For the most part, the older hymns no longer truly represented the mood of the new day and the move away from a Christian creed. The music of Unitarians and Universalists evolved as our theology evolved from roots in Puritan Christianity through the liberalization of our theology towards the bond between nature and people and the virtue of universal love. The first UU hymnal was Hymns of the Spirit. That one is definitely on the table. Although the Unitarians and the Universalists did not merge into one association until 1961, this 1937 red hymnal, which will help you identify it on the table, was a joint project between them, and it was called the Red Hymnal for a very long time. It took 5 years to complete. It's heavily theistic, with frequent references to God, the Lord, and Jesus. The focus is more on the music than the lyrics, and the names of the hymns refer to the tunes, not to the words, which is a very old standard hymnody tradition. 27 years later, Hymns for the Celebration of Life, what became known as the Blue Hymnal, you can see it there, was published. This 1964 version was a radical departure from the past, the first humanist Unitarian Universalist hymnal. The Lord's Prayer, for example, which appeared several times in the red hymnal, was nowhere to be found in the blue hymnal. It had no section at all called prayer. Instead, the blue hymnal reflected the desire of many UUs to experiment with new forms of worship. For the first time, our blue hymnal had passages from Hindu, Buddhist, Islamic, and Jewish sources. It was carefully constructed so that it would ostensibly serve us for many years into the future. Alas, best laid plans of mice and men gone astray. Within 10 years, the blue hymnal was desperately out of date. In the late 1960s, our nation was shaken by many things: the civil rights movement, the women's liberation movement, the Vietnam War, Earth Day, and the environmental movement, and other cultural revolutions. Hymns with names like "Man is the Earth, Upright and Proud" did not fit with our desire to live in harmony with the earth. Almost every reading, every hymn in the blue hymnal was written by a white male. Many hymns and many readings included multiple times man, men, he, him, the Lord, the King, fatherhood, brotherhood. You get the picture. There is a popular joke that the reason UUs have a hard time singing well in church and singing in unison is because they are reading ahead to see if they agree with the lyrics. Well, back in the 1960s, some congregations even supplied their members with hymnals and pencils to change the sexist words in the blue hymnal. So everyone was writing new words, and they just remained there in pencil. Others took to printing revised words to the hymns in the orders of service. In response to complaints, in 1979, the UUA published a small pamphlet called 25 Familiar Hymns in New Forms, Hymns with the Male Language Removed. But what was really needed, and that little pamphlet is also on the table, what was really needed was a completely new hymnal. So finally, in the late 1980s, the UUA Board of Trustees established a new hymnal commission. And as part of its work, the commission did a study to discover what were the most popular hymns and what was missing that people wanted included. Morning Has Broken was the most popular, number 38 in the gray hymnal, a song of praise to the morning, although they had to tinker with the leftover God language. The hymn that was not in the red or the blue hymnal that many UUs wanted added was surprisingly Amazing Grace, number 205 and 6. We have two different settings for it in our hymnal. The commission struggled with this hymn too. About half the UUs consulted objected to the word wretch in the second verse. They claimed that this was a reference to original sin, which most UUs do not believe in. I am not a wretch, they harumphed. Others pointed out that John Newton was talking about himself, referring to the fact that he had been a slave trader and that Amazing Grace was the moment he realized that what he had been doing was evil. As a compromise, the commission suggested that those who were offended by the word wretch could replace it with the word soul. And you can even see that in the hymnal. We are about choices, after all. Consider our version of Silent Night, in which Sleep in Heavenly Peace ends every verse in our gray hymnal. If you pay attention, though, on Christmas Eve, you will notice and you will hear many folks singing the original words anyway, even words like Savior, because these words are familiar and personally meaningful and transcend really where they are theologically. It's sort of like what Jean was talking about, all those memories that are part of music. I invite you to really think about the words to one of our most popular songs in the hymnal, and the choir just sang it, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Here are the traditional words, Quaker melody, gospel song. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Now we sing, since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? This very subtle but simple change lifts up our evolving philosophical framework of inclusivity and the theological evolution that began with the Universalist belief that God was love. That if there was a God, it was a loving, benevolent God. These changes aren't accidental. They're the result of hundreds of years of movement within our faith tradition, a tradition that continues to question and expand. And this process helped open the door to musical variety with Singing the Living Tradition, the Gray Hymnal, published in 1993, and Singing the Journey, the Teal Hymn Supplement that followed in 2005. Also on the chancel, and the ones we have in the chapel every week. The former book was inspired to reflect the UUA's work in anti-racism, multiculturalism, LGBTQ issues, the welcoming congregation, humanism, and a growing interest in spirituality. Singing the Journey was added for more contemporary music, including jazz, folk, pop, spirituals, gospels, praise songs, chants, rounds, and traditional hymns, reflecting the growing direction of music in our postmodern contemporary congregations. In every case, the intent of a hymnal is to set up an environment for hallowed ceremony, to bring forth an experience of the religious realm, to function as a device for the communication of thought, to soothe the heart from pressing concerns, to suggest new opportunities and fresh possibilities, to bring order and harmony to worship, to share in the delight of religious community. This is an ambitious list of goals, to be sure. Our UU hymnody, from red to blue to gray to teal to purple, may not be a perfect, harmonious blend, and we still need to get out our pencils to change some lyrics. But I believe we have succeeded beyond measure, and I'd argue that it satisfies measure to measure, beat to beat, note to note. So I ask, as Jean did, as the choir did, how can we keep from singing? Blessed be, blessed we, and amen. Our final hymn is from the Teal Hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. It's one of our contemporary hymns. It's number 1008. It was written by the award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter Joyce Polly, whose goal was to write accessible, positive songs, optimistic songs for congregational singing. So please rise as you are able to sing 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. That's in the Teal Hymnal.
When we trust the will
when we take our offering each week, that's not an indication to go for your purses and wallets. When we take our offering each week, we share half of it with a local nonprofit. For the months of April, May, and June, we share with East County Rising Community Projects, a grassroots organization energizing East Multnomah County residents to create equitable, livable communities centering on underrepresented and marginalized people. If you are a first-time visitor, please let the basket pass you by. You are our guest. Now, you may reach for your wallets and purses, and the offering will now be gratefully accepted.
Our offering anthem today is Spirit of Life, number 123. Spirit of Life was written by Carolyn McDade as a social justice prayer after a very frustrating community meeting that she went to on Cape Cod, where she lives. Many people think of this as our Unitarian Universalist anthem, our theme song, because it's so popular. McDade is actually a Congregationalist who also attends one of our Cape Cod UU churches on occasion. The song was written in 1980, the words were written in 1981 in the song, and then the harmony was added in 1992. And as just a personal little aside, when I was ordained, I asked for the person who was going to make my stole to create a stole that was basically a visual representation of Spirit of Life. So I give you our choir.
As we close our service today, we remember the words again of one of our hymns. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
Our benediction today is by Paul Robeson, who I mentioned earlier as the inspiration for the first thing you heard. Now let us sing. He wrote, I shall take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom or the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of fear. My weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail. Our postlude today is also written by Carolyn McDade, Come Sing a Song With Me. It's a folk melody with an emphasis on compassion, beloved community, hope, and love. And I give you our choir.
Sing a song with me. Come
And Eve.
Those are a lot of other people. Mine are-
A lot, yes.
Mary, Eric,
And there are enough for everybody, so I hope you all get a rose.
Take a rose or two home.
Some announcements. Thank you, first of all, to all the people who helped put this service together. To Robin, our speaker, to Mary Reese, Tyler Perez, and the choir, to Tara for the children's story, for John Netherton for the AV, and to the other people who helped also. I'm sorry I don't have all the names. And I just want to add a personal note. All these people that I did name, they do more, a lot more, than just run the AV, give the sermon, provide the music, tell the story. They do a lot more, and I thank you all.
Thank you, Jean.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Because of our congregational meeting, the monthly potluck will be next Sunday rather than today. So,
We have lots of refreshments.
I'm getting there. We didn't coordinate. Snowcap has canceled our regular volunteer time for June. We will start again in July. In the hall, there are sign-up sheets. Speaking of people who do things to help with our service, there are sign-up sheets to bring flowers, to make coffee, or to clean up after the coffee time. So please sign up on those sheets. East Rose is forming a band. You may contact Luna for details. And in the pedals, you will find details on these announcements and on more. Before I end, are there any other announcements? I didn't get any. Okay. The meeting starts at, 12 o'clock, 12-ish. So there are...
None of the food is sloppy. Can people bring food into the chapel? Yes.
Yes, so let's go now and get coffee and refreshments down the hall in the Thatcher Room, then return to the chapel for our congregational meeting. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. What a beautiful morning.